Good afternoon, everyone. Today we will have a lecture on that is cost estimations. So already in previous lectures we have started with the cost estimations. We have gone through the different concepts related with the estimations. So again in today's lectures we will have some basics regarding what is actually cost estimations. That is the most important is the rate analysis. Okay? So in today's lectures we will go through the rate analysis. We will go through the different contents related with the rate analysis. Okay. So first of all, we will have a definition for the rate analysis. What is actually the rate analysis which has to be carried out in the cost estimations? Okay, in a gate point of view also, the various things it has been asked related with the how to find out the cost of any structures. That is the earthwork in excavations. How to find out the cost of earthwork in excavations, or how to find out the cost of PCC, or how to find out the cost of RCC and the different types of works which has been carried out. Though these things to be again calculated, how to find out the different things related with this to be studied in the cost analysis. Okay, so one by one we will see the different concepts related with the cost estimation. That is most important in today's lectures. We will see the rate analysis, and we will also go through the valuations also, because nowadays valuations also plays an important role for to find out the cost of any cost of actual cost of the structures. Valuations again plays an important role. So this we will also study in this today's lectures. Okay, na? So rate analysis and valuations, we will see the both the things. First of all, what is rate analysis? The rate analysis is nothing but the determinations of a rate per unit of a particular item of work. That means we are finding out with the help of the rate analysis what is the cost of a particular item of work. Suppose PCC is an example, or RCC is an example, or brickwork is an example. So how to find out the cost of that particular item of work? The determinations of a rate per unit of a particular item of work from the cost of quantities. So this in this rate analysis, first there are two things to be taken care. First is we have to find out the different quantities, and the different quantities to be carried out. In this case, first we are finding out the different quantities, and then we have to multiply it with the current rates. Okay, so first in the first stage we have to find out the different cost of the different first we have to find out the different quantities. Then that next thing we have to find out the cost of the labors, and what are the different types of labors required for executing the particular type of work. So labors required, and the miscellaneous, that is the other expenses which has been required for completion of a project, that is related with the project. What are the different things again, what are the different expenses related with the project required. Okay, so this is nothing but the rate analysis. This is it is nothing but the rate analysis. Okay, the rates of material and labels vary from place to place, and hence the rates of the different items of works also vary from place to place. That means material cost or labor cost will be different from different will be different for the different places. Okay? So this will be again depending upon the different that is places. This will be the different. Okay? Okay. Next is what is the purpose of rate analysis? Why it is to be calculated? What is the main purpose regarding the rate analysis? Why it is to be carried out? So, what is the main purpose for rate analysis? The main purpose to work out the actual cost of per unit item of works. We have to find out the cost of the particular item of work. So with the help of this rate analysis, we can find out the actual cost. What is the actual cost required for a particular type of project, completions of particular type of project. ठीक है? The actual cost मालूम करने के लिए this rate analysis plays an important role. Next, number 2 point is to work out the economical use of materials and processes in completing that is the particular items, particular type activities. ठीक है? So how much, what is the economical materials required in an economical way? How much materials has been required? What is the economical use of the materials? What is the cost of that particular materials? How much materials will be required? So this again, with the help of the rate analysis, we can identify or we can find out the materials in an economical way. How much materials it has been required in completion of a particular type of activity or a particular type of work. Okay. Number third point is to work out the cost of the extra items which are not provided in the contract. Okay. That means in some cases we have to some extra items will be required. Together for this rate analysis, we can find out the quantities of the extra items which has been required for executing the particular type of work. Okay, which extra things to be required related with the work which has been not mentioned in the contract bond. Okay, that the things which has not been mentioned in the contract bond, so we have to consider that extra items. Again, these extra items will be considered in the rate analysis. Extra items, okay? So extra items will be considered in the rate analysis to work out the cost of extra items which are not provided in the contract bond but are to be done as per the directions of the client, as per the directions or as per the will of the client or as per the opinion of the client. It is to be carried out, but it has not been mentioned in a contract bond. It has not been mentioned in the contract documents. But even though we have to go through all this, or we have to work out all the things required, related or connected with the particular type of work. Next, fourth point, why it is to be carried out, why rate analysis is must to revise the schedule of rates due to increase in the cost of materials and labors or due to change in techniques. Okay. In order to revise the schedule of rates, okay, when while executing a particular type of work, we have to revise some of the things. Okay. While carrying out the work, we have to revise some of the work which has been carried out. So this revised, in order to prepare revised, that is schedule of rates, and this rate analysis plays an important role also at the time of when advanced equipments it has been used, when the work it has been carried out with some advanced equipments for some advanced techniques or some advanced things related with the machineries which has been tools and plants which has been used in a particular type of work. Though that rate analysis plays an important role. Okay. Again, next is what are the data required for the analysis of rates? What are the different data required for the while finding out the rates of a particular item of work? So which things are required? So number one things are required is details of all operations involved in carrying out the work. What are the different operations? Starting from suppose we are finding out the rate of RCC work, or we are finding out the rate of PCC. So starting from hand mixing or dry mixing up to the finishing, what are the different stages? What are the different operations carried out? Okay, na? So first we have to identify these operations which has been involved in a particular type of work. Okay? So details of all the operations involved in carrying out the work. The best example is suppose we are casting we are preparing a concrete for PCC or RCC work. So starting from dry mix up to the finishes, what are the different operations carried out? Okay, now first we have to identify that operations, and then we have to find out the cost required for that is carrying out these operations. Okay. Number two is the quantities of materials and their cost. The most important is again this thing, it has been repeated that we have to find out the quantities and we have to find out the quantities of materials and the different materials required. Suppose the example is again the same. That is for, suppose the brickwork is there. So how much quantities of bricks it has been required in thousands or in numbers. So what will be the that is the fine aggregate required, or what is the cement content required, है ना? How many bags of cement it has been required, and the cost of cement or the cost of fine aggregate or the cost of bricks. Okay. So quantities of materials and their cost. Number third is the numbers of different categories of laborers required, their working capacities, and the daily wages. So, how many laborers it has been required? How many, depending upon the type of work, how much laborers and their categories. In the sense, whether we require a skilled laborers, whether we require unskilled laborers, or what is the task work carried out, daily wages, and the working capacity. In the sense, how much is the output carried out by the particular category of a laborers. ठीक है ना? What is the output of a first class that is mason, है? What is the output for the laborers? What is the output for the that is the mason, ठीक है? So this output or the working capacity also plays an important role while finding out the cost of any that is the item of work, ठीक है? So working capacity and their daily wages. Next is rates of items again depends upon specifications of work and the materials, their quality, proportions, and the method of constructional operation. That means we require that is the specifications that has been required because we have to carry out a particular type of work. So specifications is a specific description related to a particular type of work. That means if we are having a PCC or if we are having an RCC, what is the ratios? Cement, sand, and aggregates ratio. First, we have to find out that ratios, and depending upon that ratio, how much part of cement required, sand, how much part of sand is it has been required, or how much part of coarse aggregate it has been required. So first we have to find out these things, materials required and their quantities. Suppose we are finding out the quantity of sand, it is measured in cubic meters. Whose aggregate, it has been measured in cubic meters, or cement, it has been measured in bags. Some waterproofing agents, it has been used, so it will be again measured in the that is per kgs or per that is a bag in kgs or per liters. So we have to find out these quantities. Wait a minute. मैं बताता हूँ, ग्रुप पे डालता है या फिर थोड़ी देर से, ठीक है। हाँ, टेस्टिंग का प्रोसेस स्टार्ट कर दो, मैं आता लैब में। Next is what are the different quantities required for a particular type of work. So quantity of materials and their cost, ठीक है ना। So what are the different quantities required for executing a particular type of work, and their cost again plays an important role, ठीक है ना। What are the cost of the different types of materials required, ठीक है। Next is cost of labors and their wages. That means how many labors are it has been required for executing the work. So how much labors it has been required? So we have to find out the labors required. The best example I have given that for PCC, for RCC type of work. So we have to find out the labors required and their wages. That means per day how many wages it has been given for a particular type of labors. Okay, we have to find out the wages also. Next is again important is we have to find out the locations of site of work. That means depending upon the locations, whether it is within the permissible limits, or whether that particular site it has been within the limit, and whether the transportation cost is required or not. Okay? So depending upon the transportation cost, again the that is the cost for the labors or cost of the materials will be varying depending upon the transportations. Okay? Again, overhead charges is also required. That means overhead and establishment charges. What is overhead charges? Beyond the material cost or beyond the labor cost, some overhead charges while carrying out a particular type of work, some extra cost will also be required. And some extra cost which is unforeseen expenses. We can, in short, it has been called as the unforeseen expenses. Okay, na? So while executing any type of work, say such unforeseen expenses to be also be considered while carrying out the rate analysis. ठीक है ना? So overhead and establishment charges. What is establishment charges? We have to establish an office work. That is the clerical work. It is also to be carried out related with a construction project. So here maintenance of the office and the office staff. So here again establishment charges will also be taken care. ठीक है? Last bit related with the rate analysis is nothing but the profit and miscellaneous expenses of the contractor. That means again we have to keep some percentage of profit to be given to the engineers, site engineers, or the contractors, and some miscellaneous expenses of the contractors. You know, some extra expenses of the contractors. So normally 10% of the total cost it has been kept aside for the contractors' profit, and 10% of the total cost. Okay. So this 10% of the total cost will be taken by the contractor's profit or the engineer's profit. It is to be kept aside from the total cost of the construction work. Next is how to analyze the rates. What are the different things? These two things are very important. That is the material cost and the labor cost. So depending upon these two things, we have to analyze the rates. Okay. So these two heads which has been here, I've highlighted these two things. That is the material cost and the labor cost. The analysis of rates is worked out for the unit payment of the particular item of work under the two heads, that is the materials and the labors. Okay, na? Because these two are the main things, material cost and the labor cost is nowadays these are the two things, and rarely used are the various equipments, tools and plants. Okay, but the major thing it has been taken by these two things, that is the material cost and the labor cost. Okay, na? Major of the that is the cost will be taken by these two items, that is materials and the labors. Next, material cost plus labor cost is nothing but the cost of item of work. That is the simple as good. It is very simple. Again, other items to be included as tools and plants required. In some type of work, if when heavy works are there, or when massive concreting work it is to be carried out at a larger scale, we require some special equipments, and tools and plants will also be required. So, how much percentage to be kept aside for the tools and plants? So, near about 2.5 to 3% of the labor cost, because we are reducing the that is the work of the laborers. Therefore, this to be deducted from the labors, because we are reducing the work of a labor by using the tools and plants, heavy equipments, or advanced equipments. So how much cost will be deducted from the labor cost? That is, it will be in the percentage as 2.5 to 3% from the labor cost, because it is very very important, because we are reducing the work of a labor. Okay, na? Therefore, it is to be taken from the labor cost, 2.5 to 3%. Again, transportation cost more than 8 kilometers is considered. Normally, this term is called as lead. Okay, na? Lead, LEAD. What is lead? Lead is nothing but the when transportation is more than 8 kilometers. We are when we are transporting the materials from that is the more than 8 kilometers, then extra charges will be paid for the transportation of the materials. If it is more than 8 kilometers, okay, na? This word is very very important. If it is more than 8 kilometers, then only it will be paid. Okay, na? The transportation cost more than 8 kilometers is considered. Water charges is also nowadays considered, because in some of the sites there is a scarcity of water. There is a little water available. Therefore, extra charges will be required for the in order to purchase the water. Okay, na? By means of tanks, bolo, by means of pipelines, bolo, hai na? So water charges will also be taken care, which is 1.5 to 2% from the total cost. Okay, na? It will be from the total cost. This water charges will be from total cost, but these tools and plants will be from the labor cost. Again, last is nothing but the 10% of contractors' profit will also be considered. That is nothing but contractors' profit as the 10%. Okay. Next is what are the cost of materials required. Okay, na? Again, the cost of materials it will be delivered at site of work. Will be dependent on the first cost. There is a cost at origins and cost of transportations and local taxes and other charges. That means if we are taking the materials, if we are extracting the materials right from the origins, if we are purchasing the material from the origin, so what will be the cost of materials? And when we are transporting through the various means such as roadways or railways or any other means, where when we are transporting the materials, so again the extra charges will be required, and somewhat local taxes will also be considered, you know? Local taxes and other charges will also be considered in the material cost. Again, the statement is saying the lead. I have already shown you what is lead. Lead when the transportation is more than kilometers, this term is called as lead. Okay, na? So this lead statement is also to be considered. The distance between the source of availabilities of material and construction site. That means this horizontal distance which has been covered from where we are actually from the point at which it has been available and the point it has been used. Okay, na? This horizontal distance covered is nothing but the lead. If it is more than 8 kilometers, so it will be added in the extra amount will be added for the transportations in the total cost. Okay. Next is again the cost of labors will also be considered. That is the skilled labors, unskilled labors. That is the second class labors and unskilled labors. Normally, labors it has been divided into two. That is the skilled labors and that is unskilled labors. And skilled labors it has been divided into first class skilled labors and the second class skilled labors. Okay? Depending upon the work carried out by that task work which has been carried out by the labors. So this will distinguish into skilled labors and unskilled labors. Okay. The labor charges can be obtained from the standard schedule of rates. Again, there is SSR. It is in short is called as the SSR. Okay, na? Standard schedule of rates. SSR. In short, it has been called as SSR. What is SSR? Standard schedule of rates, or it is also called as DSR also. Okay, na? DSR. DSR, that is a district schedule of rates. Okay. So there is a copy available with the government departments. Every department it is having its own SSR rates or DSR rates, and we have to quote according to that rates, rates of the labors or rates of the various materials or rate of the particular type of work which has been carried out. So SSR or DSR it has been available with every government firms, and every government firms they are having their own SSR, their own DSR, and we have to quote the rates according to their that is SSR or DSR. Okay. Next is 30% of the skill labors provided in the data may be taken as the first class, and the remaining 70% is it has been taken as the second class. That means out of the 100%, if you are considering in percentage as 100%, so we can use up to 30% of skill labors, whereas that is first class, whereas 70% of second class can also be used. Okay? So this in this way we can find out the total cost of structures. Hello. हाँ, लाना है हम बुला दूंगा. हाँ, 5:30 बजे घर पे ला दूंगा. ठीक. जी. जी. 5:30. ठीक है. हाँ, चलो. Next is contractors profit. Again, we have seen this. It is to be taken in the range of 10%. That is about it. It is in the range of 6 to 10%. But contractors profit or the engineers profit, it has been taken as the near about 10% of the total cost. Okay. Again, the miscellaneous things to be added for the rate analysis. That is the lump sum provisions are made for the miscellaneous items. Again, overhead charges or overhead cost will also be included in the rate analysis. What are the different overhead charges which has been included? The overhead cost it comes to be about 6 to 8%. What which things to be included in this overhead charges? This includes the indirect, that is expenses incurred during the executions of work, because directly we can find out the direct expenses we can easily find out by the measurements taken by with the, of the drawings or sections or elevations we can find out the direct expenses. But in some cases we have to have an indirect expenses are also taken care. So this indirect expenses it has been taken under the overhead cost, taken overhead charges. Okay. So at a what extent we can take? So we can take up to 6 to 8% as the indirect expenses to be added in the under the head as overhead cost. Okay. General overheads में क्या रहेगा? General overhead will be it will have the establishment charges, that is the office staff. Again, it has been taken care. Office staff, various office staffs will also be required. So this an amount to be paid to the office staff and a monthly payments to be given to this office staff. So this general or establishment, that is office staff, will be required for site office work. That means for carrying out the office work, staff will also be required. So again, monthly payments to be given, which will be included under the overhead charges. Okay. Again, stationery, printing, or postage charges will also be taken care. Traveling expenses, telephone rent and taxes. If we have to pay some taxes or we have to pay some rents to the office, office where we are establishing the office, and telephonic or some that is the convenience charges will also be required. Okay. Again, job overheads में क्या रहेगा? What are the different things included in the job overheads? Number one is the supervision charges, salaries of engineers or the supervisors to be considered. And that is the job overheads में supervision charges will be required. Handling of materials, various materials to be handled, handling of materials, repair and carriage or depreciations and of tools and plants. That means if there is we have to transport the tools and plants. That means heavy equipments or heavy, that is machineries, when we are transporting from one place to another place. Again, extra that is the amount will be required. Okay. So repair, carriage, and depreciations of the tools and plants. What is depreciation in short? I will actually this depreciation word is related with the valuations. But in short, what is depreciations? It is wear and tear of the materials, or sorry, wear and tear of the machineries. Okay. As the time span goes on, there is always a wear and tear in the different machineries. Okay. This it has been considered as the cost of the total cost of the machinery will be decreased. So this is nothing but the depreciations. Okay. Again, this will be considered under the job overheads. Next is nothing but labor amenities. If we are constructing a labor that is huts or the labor camps, it has been required labor related residential. If we are if the laborers they are staying at the site, so we have to provide some amenities. That is the facilities in the sites related with the laborers. Again, a cost will be required, so which will be again considered under the overhead charges. Okay. Workers compensations insurances, again the insurance will be provided to the workers because at sites because every time there may be an in order to accidents, in order to avoid accidents, this compensation or insurance will be given to the workers. Okay. So interest on investment, again losses on advances, again these things is also considered under the overhead charges. Okay. Now, related with all these things, we will switch over to the various. That is nothing but the next thing we will consider numericals related with the rate analysis. We will see the basics related with the rate analysis. Okay. What are the different things related with the rate analysis? Again, we will see some of the numericals related with the rate analysis. Yes. So these are the numericals we will see related with the rate analysis. Here we can have the basics related with the rate analysis. There is a basic Excel sheet which has been available. So with the help of this Excel sheet, we will see the basics related with the rate analysis. Okay. What are the different labels required for the different in order to carry out the different type of work? The labels required is number one is nothing but the in carrying out the cement concrete in foundations, that is for PCC. If we are carrying out the that is if we are carrying out the concrete that is cement concrete in foundation for PCC, how many laborers are required, how many head masons are required, or mazdoor or BC it has been required in executing a work that is the PCC work in foundations. Okay. So if we are assuming the quantity as 10 cubic meters, so how many laborers are required for executing this 10 cubic meters is head mason we require as 1 by 4, whereas mason we require as 2 by 2 and a half, and that is 2.5. Mazdoor we require as 20 and Bisti we require as 2. Actually, these are in fractions. Why it has been taken in fractions? Because we are converting this into a 10 cubic meters. If we are having, suppose we are finding out for 20 cubic meters or 50 cubic meters, then these fractions may be in full that is numbers. Okay. So we are actually converting this into a 10 cubic meters. Therefore, this it has been calculated in fractions. Okay. So head mason kitna hai? It is 1 by 4. Mason it has been required as 2.5. Mazdoor it has been required as 20. And Bisti is, what is Bisti? Bisti is actually it is lower category than the Mazdoor, which has been normally we can have this for, we can call this as a waterman or the helper. Helper we can call this as helper also. So the technical word it has been used as the Bisti. The numbers required for this is two numbers of Bisti it has been required for there is PCC in foundations. Next is cement concrete for RCC work. So RCC work के लिए how much cement concrete it has been required for RCC work. ठीक है. So cement concrete for RCC work, again we have to carry out for 10 cubic meters how much head masons and masons are it has been required. So head mason required is 1 by 2. Head mason कितना required है देखो, it has been required as 1 by 2. Whereas mason required for this case is nothing but mason required is 3. Head mason required is 1 by 2. Mason required is 3, whereas Mazdoor required is 18 and Bisri required is 4. Okay. Here in this case, instead of because we are carrying out the RCC work, so therefore head mason is instead of 1 by 4, it has been 1 by 2. Mason somewhat 2.5, it has been more than this as 3. Mazdoor here is we have decreased this quantity of Mazdoor as 20 to 18, and Bisti we have taken as 4. Okay. Next is reinforced work for RCC steel. That means we are especially for steel, that is in for steel works. To this for RCC steel works, how many laborers and masons it has been required? So 10 quintals, and for 10 quintals of that is steel, how many laborers it has been required for this? Wait a minute. So for this 10 that is for 10 quintals. How many things it has been required for 10 quintals? So 10 quintals, in order to carry out this 10 quintals, mason and head mason, it has been required as, wait a minute. Okay. Yes, for steel, in carrying out the steel work, how many masons and head mason it has been required? तो स्टील के लिए देखो, मेसन कॉम ब्लैक स्मिथ, इट हैज बीन रिक्वायर्ड फॉर कैरिंग आउट ऑफ 10 क्विंटल एज वन मजदूर वी रिक्वायर एज वन. Again for fourth, brickwork is in foundation and plinth, when carrying out the brickwork is in foundation and plinth. So again 10 cubic meters के लिए how many head masons it has been required? So 1 by 2 mason it has been required as 10, whereas मजदूर it has been required as 14, ठीक है ना, and बिस्ती it has been required as 2 for carrying out brickwork in foundations, because we are carrying out it in foundations at a lower level. So head mason we require as 1 by 2, mason required is 10, and mazdoor required is 14, whereas bistri required is 2. What about the brickworks in superstructures? Somewhat different things it has been required in superstructures. के लिए क्या रहेगा देखो, head mason required is 1 by 2, mason required is 8, and mazdoor required is 15, and bistri required is 2. The head mason is same, but here mason, instead of this 10, it has been required as 8, whereas in mazdoor we have increased as 1, as 15 mazdoors are required, and bistri we require as 2. Next is sixth serial number is nothing but coarse rubble, that is stone masonry in lime or cement concrete. Okay, when coarse rubble masonry, it has been required in lime or cement concrete. So cement concrete में rubble masonry it has been carried out, coarse rubble masonry. So how many again the laborers and mazdoor it has been required? So head mason required for carrying out this course, that is UCR, uncoarse rubble masonry and coarse rubble masonry. Here is the case of the coarse rubble masonry. Head mason is 1 by 2, mason is 15, and mazdoor is 22 and a half, whereas bisti is 1 and a half. Okay? So these things is again it has been required for the rubble masonry. Stone masonry देखो, stone masonry के लिए stone masonry in foundations and plinth, we require head mason as 1 by 2, mason we require as 10, mazdoor we require as 17 and a half, whereas bisti we require as 1 and a half. These actually while finding out the labors required, actually these are the task work which has been carried out, है ना? Task work in the sense, in order to execute 10 cubic meters, in order to carry out this 10 cubic meters of work. So how many head masons are required? To 1 by 2. How many masons are required? That is 10. How many mazdoors are required? That is 17 and a half. How many bisti it has been required for carrying out this 10 cubic meters of stone masonry? It is 1 and a half. Okay. So these things are very, very important, related with the labors or required or manpowers required for executing the work, particular type of work. Okay. So this is nothing but the case of stone masonry. Whereas plastering work it has done, cement plastering work it has been done, which is having a thickness of 12 mm. So if we are normally this there is a cement plaster, it has been measured in square meters. So now here you can see all these items are in cubic meters, but cement plaster we have stated as the square meters. Why? Because it has been we have to apply the or as per IS 1200, what is the mode of measurement of plastering? It has been measured in the square meters. Okay, therefore we have considered in this case as the square meters. So 100 square meters it has been carried out. Okay, 100 square meters क्या लगता है यहाँ पे we require for this as 100 square meters. So in carrying out this 100 square meters, how many head masons are required? So in carrying out this, how many head masons are required or masons are required? So head mason is 1 by 2, mason is 10. And what about the mazdoor required for this carrying out this work? So mazdoor required in this case is for cement concrete work, we require mazdoor as, yes, head mason as 1 by 2, mason as 10, mazdoor as 15, and mistri as 1. ठीक है ना? For carrying out the cement concrete in plastering. ठीक है? Next, for 20 thick DPC, in order to damp roof coats, again it has been measured in square meters. We have cement plastering, it has been measured in square meters, or DPC it is also measured in square meters. So square meters, 100 square meters, in order to carry out this 100 square meters, head mason required is 1 by 2, Mason requires 5 for DPC work in 20 thick DPC work. Actually, in this square meter quantities, thickness will also be mentioned. Suppose in cement concrete, the thickness is mentioned as 12 whereas DPC again the thickness is mentioned as 20 So in carrying out this 100 square meters of area, how many? What is the thickness for this? 20 thickness is there. We require head mason as 1 by 2, मेसन as 5, मजदूर as 5 and बिस्ती as 1. ठीक है ना? तो मेसन and मजदूर the quantities are same. Head mason is 1 by 2. Normally you can see the head mason as in the ratios of 1 by 2. Only for the first quantity, that is for PCC, we have seen as 1 by 4. But in all the remaining quantities, the head mason we have taken as 1 by 2. Mason, mazdoor, bisti, these quantities are varying depending upon the type of work. Okay. Next, number 10 is mosaic or tile, that is the terrazzo flooring. ठीक है ना? Mosaic or terrazzo flooring में how, again it has been measured in flooring, it has been measured in square meters. It has been measured in square meters. So head mason required for this case is 1. Mason requires 20, Mazdoor requires 20, Bistri requires 2. What about this polisher? What this? Why polisher it has been required? Because for mosaic or tile flooring we require polishing work. ठीक है ना? Finishing of that tiles will be required, and a special that is a category, that is a polisher we require for polishing this mosaic or terrazzo type of flooring. ठीक है? So how many polishers are required? So 20 numbers of polishers it has been required. Okay. Again, cement painting के लिए how much when we are when there will be a cement painting on walls. So again, it has been measured in 100 square meters. So head mason required is 1 by 2. Mason required is 10. Mazdoor required is 10. Bistri is required is 1. ठीक है. Again, 12th number, the last quantity is whitewashing or color washing. 2 coats. This important is 2 coats. Okay? This word is very important. 2 coats with 2 primers. Coats of primer. That means 2 coats of whitewashing and 2 coats of primer. Okay? So overall 4 coats it has been carried out. So while 100 square meters area to be covered for 2 coats of color or whitewashing and 2 coats of primer. So how many painters are required? So 1.5 painter is required, and mazdoor is that is the helper is 2 numbers. So these are the logical ways, or these are the thumb rules which has been mentioned in IS, that is 1200, while calculating a particular type, while calculating a particular item of work. ठीक है ना? So how many mazdoors are required to carry out this particular type of work, or how many masons are required, or how many bistis or head masons are required? Now, these things are very, very, very important while finding out the rate analysis of a particular type of work. Okay. So we have seen all these things. The 12, we have divided all the different type of work into 12 different categories, and these are the 12 sale numbers are there. So we have divided the different type of work into 12 different categories, and we have find out how many different that is manpowers required for executing a particular that is type of work, which has been measured in cubic meters or which has been measured in square meters. Okay. Next, again important is very important is while finding out the different quantities. Suppose we are finding out the quantity of cement concrete, है ना? Suppose we are finding out the serial number as 1 as cement concrete work. So we have to assume, first thing is, first we have to assume the quantity. This 10 cubic meters which we have seen from, or which we have measured from the drawings. This 10 cubic meters we have measured from the drawings. This we will call this as a wet volume. ठीक है ना? That is measured from the drawings, है ना? ये drawing से measure किए थे आपने. तो this we will call this as the wet volume. ठीक है ना? This is nothing but the wet volume. So assume wet volume of concrete as 10 cubic meters. Next, while preparing or while applying this 10 cubic meters, how much quantity to be prepared inside? है ना? Because there will be wastage. So, while preparing the concrete, there will be some wastage. There will be wastage of cement will be there, wastage of sand and fine aggregates and coarse aggregate will be there. So we have to consider that wastage while converting this quantity into a dry volume of concrete. Okay. The next is nothing but we are converting this wet volume into a dry volume by considering the wastages. कितना wastage होगा देखो यहाँ पे. So it has been set as per IS 1200 as it will be in a range of, we have to take a more than this as 50 to 55% more of the actual quantity. Yes, we require 50 to 55% more of the actual quantity which we have calculated from the drawings. Okay, we have calculated from the drawing the required quantity is 10 cubic meters, but we require more, that is more than 10, in the range of 50 to 55. So how much we require? So it is 10, it is in the range of, we have decided as 52%. Okay na? The intermediate of this 50 to 55 we have taken as 52%. So 52% kitna rahega? What is the 52% of 10? So how to calculate this? So 10 plus 52% of 10. So here I've stated this formula as 10. You can write down at the top line. You can see here at the top line. Here I have stated the formula as 10 plus 52% of 10, because we require more than 10. ठीक है ना? So 10 plus 52% of 10, that comes to be 15.2%. So actually we require 10%, 10 cubic meters, but we have to prepare the materials or as per 15.2 cubic meters. ठीक है ना? कितने cubic meters का material बनाना है? We require 15.2 meters to accumulate or to carry out a work about 10 cubic meters. ठीक है ना? 15.2. Number two, देखो. Number two is nothing but plastering. Here, plastering thickness is 12 mm. What is the thickness of plastering? Again, why it has been mentioned as the thickness of plastering? Because plastering, it has been measured in square meters. Plastering, it has been measured in square meters. Therefore, thickness will always be mentioned, or we have to decide the thickness. तो 12 mm, it is near about 1 mm thick. ठीक है ना? 12 mm is 1 inch. 1 inch होता है ना? Normally in sites we are using the inch or feet. ठीक है ना? So normally there will be a plaster of 1 inch, that is approximately as 12 mm. So we are assuming the area as 100 square meters. We have to cover the area for plastering as 100 square meters, and the thickness of plaster is 12 mm. We are covering the area as 100 square meters, and the thickness of plastering is 12. So first we have to convert this 100 square meters into a cubic content, because we are finding out actual the quantities. That is, what is the quantity of fine aggregate required? What is the quantity of cement required? So for that we have to use this thickness also, because we are applying the plaster in the form of thickness. So 100 multiplied by 12, and this 12 mm, it has been measured in mm, and actually we are measuring in square meters. To convert this mm into square meters, so 100 multiplied by 12 divided by 1000, so it comes to be 1.2 cubic meters. Yes. Here you can see at the top, 100 multiplied by 12 divided by 1000. Why I have divided with the 1000? Because we are converting this 12 mm into a meter. So it comes to be 1.2 cubic meters. Okay. Okay, 1.2 cubic meters. Again, the same thing which we have already used, extra word we are using for the serial number 1. The same extra word will be used in some other sense, that is, add 30% mortar to fill the joints. We require extra 30% in order to fill the joints, and we require 30% extra for filling the joints. That is 1.2, and that is more than 30%, that is 1.2 plus 30% of 1.2. 1.2 plus 30% of 1.2, it comes to be 1.56. So here this D8 is actually 1.2. 1.2 plus 30% of 1.2, it comes to be 1.56. Again, in converting of this into a dry volume, again we require more as 25%. Again we require more as 25%. So 1.56 का 25% more कितना होगा? तो 1.56 plus 25% of 1.56, 1.56 plus 25% of 1.56, it comes to be 1.95 cubic meters. The same sense we are using, we are having in the range of same 50 to 55, but the bifurcation is different. We are using 30% for filling the joints, and we are using as 25% for conversion of this wet volume into a dry volume. So in this way we have calculated the quantity for this as 1.95 cubic meters. Okay. Number third is flooring, that is in cement concrete. Again, the flooring, it has been measured in square meters. Okay. So we are applying a flooring. It has been measured in square meters. We are considering the area for flooring, that is in square meters. So 100 square meters we will require. Okay. So So how much thickness is for flooring is there? So again, it has been measured in square meters. The thickness for flooring is we are considering as 2.5 centimeters thick. Okay, we have to consider the thickness of flooring as 2.5 centimeters thick. Okay, so again the same thing which we have used for plastering work. We have to convert this areas into a volume content. So wet volume of concrete कैसा रहेगा? तो 100. This 100 square meters का 100 multiplied by 2.5 divided by 100. Why? Because conversion of this centimeters into meters. So this conversion is comes to be 2.5 cubic meters. Here the you can see in the top the 100 multiplied by 2.5 divided by 100. So it comes to be 2.5, that is in cubic meters. The quantity of concrete required for flooring. Okay. Next, again the same thing. Bifurcations required is required. The thumb rule required is 10% more for uneven surfaces. There may be undulations. There may be we have to apply this flooring or flooring to be done in that is in order to avoid this. That is undulations, uneven surfaces. So again, extra material will be required. So we will have more as 10% extra of this 2.5. So 2.5 plus 10% of 2.5, it comes to be 2.75. Here at the top you can see that is 2.5 plus 10% of 2.5, it comes to be 2.75. That is the cubic meters in cubic meters. So again for 10% more for uneven surfaces. In order to fill the undulations, in order to have the flooring in a plain surface, so extra material will be required. That is the 10%. Next, fourth serial number is DPC. DPC. What this DPC stands for? Capital DPC stands for, that is dam proof course, which has been applied at the plinth level. Plinth level. So what is the thickness for DPC? Again, it has been yeah, the thickness it has been given as 25 thick DPC. It has been required. That is near about 2 inch. 2 inch. Okay. Assume area of DPC as 100 square meters. Again, we are converting this areas into a cubic content, that is 100 multiplied by 25 divided by thousands. That comes to be 2.5 cubic meters. Okay. So here you can see at the top the formula which has been used, the simple multiplication and division which has been used. So 100 multiplied by 25 divided by 1000. So it comes to be 2.5 cubic meters of material will be required for DPC. Again, the same concept, the same thumb rule required is we have to convert this wet volume into a dry volume. Again, because this dam proof course, it is as good as concrete. So we are using the concept of concrete, the same, serial number one. That is 52% extra will be required, because DPC, that is we require fine aggregate, we require coarse aggregate, we require cement content, cement required. So same materials are required. So as DPC is as good as the concrete we are using in the ratio of 1 to 4 or 1:3:6. So therefore the same concept we will use as 52% extra. तो ड्राई वॉल्यूम में कितना हो देखो 52% as more as 2.5 का एक्स्ट्रा इज 2.5 multiplied by 2.5 plus 52% of 2.5, it comes to be 3.8 cubic meters है ना. So 2.5 plus 52% of 2.5, it comes to be 3.8. Actually required is 2.5, but we are taking as 3.8 extra. ठीक है ना, 3.8 cubic meters by considering 52% extra. Same serial numbers 5 you can see while calculating the quantity of mosaic tile flooring. If you are finding out the mosaic tile flooring having a thickness of 20 thick, ठीक है ना, mosaic tile flooring अगर required है for that is 20 thick. So again mosaic tile flooring we have to cover the area as 100 square meters. And we are covering the area because tile flooring as per IS 1200, what is the mode of measurement for mosaic tile flooring? It has been measured in square meters. Okay. Again, the thickness that has been given in this bracket, we have to consider this thickness as 20 thick. So assuming flooring areas as 100, again the conversion of this areas into the same thing which we have already repeated in the previous serial numbers. Conversion of this square meters into a cubic content method. Cubic content, that is quantity. So 100 multiplied by 20 divided by 1000. So conversion of this into that is meters. So it comes to be 2 cubic meters. कितना आएगा? It comes to be 2 cubic meters. Again, for filling और uneven surfaces के लिए और for extra material required for this mosaic type flooring के लिए, तो here we require as 25% more, ठीक है ना. Here we can have the more as 25%, ठीक है. तो 25% more, तो 2 का 25% more कितना होगा, 2 plus 2.5 of 2, तो it comes to be 2 point, sorry, 2 plus 25% of 2, it comes to be 2.5 cubic meters, ठीक है. Same way, serial number 6 is again very important while calculating the quantities of in various quantities of various materials required for carrying out the brickwork. So brickworks, assume again brickwork, it has been measured as in cubic meters. Okay, now we are assuming as 10 cubic meters for the first case, assuming volume of the brickwork as 10 cubic meters. Dry volume कितना होगा, dry volume again as अब here the we are not using the statement as more, we are using as 35% of brickwork. This what this 35% of brickwork states, what this word states, that means near about 65% of the space will be taken by bricks and 35% of the total space will be taken by the mortar. ठीक है. The simple, in other words, the concept is out of this 10 cubic meters, 35% is 3.5. That means 3.5 space will be taken for that is mortar, and 6.5, ठीक है ना, 6.5 cubic meters near about will be taken for the bricks. In other words, the space required for the bricks is 6.5, and the space required or the material required is 3.5 for mortars, 3.5 cubic meters for mortar. Again, next, seventh serial number is uncoarse rubble masonry. We require as uncoarse rubble masonry. That is in short is called as UCR. Again, it has been measured in 10 cubic meters. Again, this more concept will not be used, है ना? Again, because the same concept for bricks, UCR or ashlar masonry or coarse masonry. So for these four things, four quantities, while calculating these four quantities, first quantity was brickwork, next is UCR, third is ashlar masonries and the coarse rubble masonry. We will convert this directly as a 40% or 25% of the mortar, volume of mortar, ठीक है ना. More word will not be used. We will have directly as 42% of volume of mortar, ठीक है. So we are assuming the space required, we are assuming the volume as 10 cubic meters. Dry volume कितना होगा इसका, dry volume of mortar as 42%. That is more नहीं, volume of masonry, that is 42% of volume of masonry. Out of this 10%, 42% कितना होगा, that is 4.2. So near about 4.2 will be taken, space will be taken for this, that is nothing but for the mortar, and near about 5.8 cubic meters will be considered for the stones. 5.8 will be considered for stones. So 4.2 cubic meters for UCM. The volume of stones, how to calculate the volume of stones? It is just the multiplication of 1.25 times the volume of mortar. Okay, na? Again, this for dry mortar we have taken as 42%. Same way for stones we have taken as 1.25 times the volume of the masonry. That means 1.25 multiplied by volume of masonry is 10. Next is ashlar masonries. What is this? How to find out again the quantity? Again, the thumb rule used for this is 25% of volume of masonry. Here we have taken as 42%. Here we have taken as 25%. Why the quantity is less required for the ashlar masonries? What is the reason behind this? We are using 42% for uncoarse rubble masonry, but we are using ashlar masonry only 25%. That is near about less as compared to 42%, because the surfaces for ashlar masonry is even surfaces are there. So therefore, less material will be required. Less material will be required as compared to for uncoarse rubble masonry, because the edges or the stone edges जो रहते हैं और the outside जो sides रहते हैं, sides of the stones, they are uneven नहीं होते. Therefore, less material will be required. Therefore, percentage will also be less. That is, we are taking as 25%, ठीक है, of the total volume. Next, it comes to be 2.5. Now, volume of stone कितना आएगा देखो, 1.5 times the volume of masonry. The same concept is it has been used. Next is coarse rubble masonry. So intermediate of this 42 and 25 somewhat is 40 we are taking for this. That is for coarse rubble masonry. ठीक है. Again, this multiplication factor is somewhat different as 1.17. तो वॉल्यूम ऑफ मशीनरी के लिए कितना एक्स्ट्रा दैट इज वॉल्यूम ऑफ मशीनरी दैट इज स्टोन्स वी रिक्वायर एज 1.117 times the volume of the machinery. Next is steel reinforcement in RCC works. How to find out the steel reinforcement for a particular RCC work? So steel reinforcements के लिए again the thumb rule it has been used. How to find out the steel reinforcement in case of RCC work? So assume volume of concrete as 10 cubic meters. Assume volume of steel reinforcement. Here we are assuming the steel as 1% of wet volume of concrete. Okay? We are assuming the steel as 1% of the total volume. Okay? 1% of 10, that is, it comes to be 0.1. We can have 1 to 2%, 1 to 3% depending upon the use of the steel, whether it is in foundations, whether it is in column, whether it is in slab or whether it is in beam. So various percentage of steel it has been given in IS 456. Taken how much percentage of steel to be taken care. So we are here we are assuming 1%. Okay. Here you can assume 2% also. Here you can assume 3%, 5%, 10% also. But here in this case we are assuming 1%. No, depending upon its usage, where we are using this, so we are using as 1%. 1% of 10, it comes to be 0.1 cubic meters. Okay. The weight of steel reinforcement कितना होगा देखो volume just is the density the volume of reinforcement into that is the weight of steel per cubic meters, so it comes to be zero point 0.1. What is the weight of steel per cubic meters? So zero point 0.1 multiplied by 7850. This term is very important. 7850 is the density of steel. What is this 7850? So 7850 is the density of steel. So zero point 0.1 multiplied by 7850, it comes to be 785 kgs. ठीक है ना? The amount of steel required or the weight of steel required for 10 cubic meters of concrete is nothing but 785 kgs. How many steel is required? How much steel is required for 10 cubic meters of concrete? So 785 kgs of steel will be required. Next is how much quantity of binding wire it has been required. So 10 kgs per ton. So one that is divided by thousands. So here it comes to be 0.785 multiplied by ton. So it comes to be 7.85 kgs. Okay. So this conversions to be taken care while converting this kgs into tons or kgs into quintals. We have to see properly the conversions, and same way this basics it has been given as for binding wires. It has been given as 10 kgs per that is ton and 10 kgs per ton. Next, again important last is while finding out the quantity of cement, how to find out the quantity of cement. Again, for 1 cubic meters, how many space or how many kg of cement will be occupied in 1 meter cube. 1 meter cube में कितना सीमेंट ऑक्युपाई होता है? तो it is 1440 kgs. ठीक है ना? How much cement will be taken care in 1 cubic meters? 1 meter cube का अगर बॉक्स है अपने पास, which is having a length of 1, width of 1 and height of 1. The 1 by 1 cubic meters of box is there. So how many kgs of cement will be occupied in this 1 meter cube of box? So it will be 1440 kgs of cement will be occupied in 1 meter cube box. Okay. But normally in bag that is cement is available in bags. So one bag of cement it is near about 50 kgs. So how many meter cube will be required for 50 kgs of cement? 50 kgs में कितना meter cube होगा? So it is near about 0.035, that is cubic meters. So here the conversion it has been taken as one bag of cement, that is nothing but 50 kgs of cement. How many meter cube of space will be required for this? That is 0.035 cubic meters. So 0.035 cubic meters of space will be required for 50 kgs of cement. Okay? So these are the basic things which has been used to find out the quantities of a different item of. That means we are finding out the quantity of fine aggregates. We can find out the quantity of that is coarse aggregate, cement or steel, or the waterproofing that is the agents which has been required, or the binding wires which has been required, are related with the particular type of work. Okay. So here we in this way we have covered in today's lectures the basics regarding how to find out these things considered while calculating or while finding out the rate analysis. Which things are considered, which basic things are considered, why is it is necessary to carry out a rate analysis, why it is must to carry out the quantities, what is the basics things regarding with the rate analysis, how to find out the cost of labors required, what are the basics regarding the labors required. We have seen the divisions of labors as per the type of work. Cement, concrete, how many labors are required? Head mason, masons, and mazdoor or bistri, it has been required. Same way for we have seen for the PCC, RCC, for plastering also we have seen, for flooring we have seen, DPC, how many labors it has been required. So while calculating the actual quantity, these two things we have seen. The first thing is the labors required, and number two is the material required. Okay, na? So just now you have seen how to calculate the materials required, and how to calculate the cement required, how to calculate the quantity of fine aggregate or coarse aggregate required. So in this way, by clubbing this labor cost and by clubbing with the material cost, we can easily find out the total cost of any particular type of work. And whether it is the different types of works, so we can easily find out the total cost of a particular item of work by adding this material and the labor cost. Okay, so here we will end this today's lectures. If anyone having doubts related with this, they can ask, they can have the discussion regarding this. So here we will end this today's lectures. Again, some more important bits will be covered in the next lecture. Okay, so thank you everyone, thank you, thank you.